I am so proud of you, mon petit tournesol, Solaire told Simmer. It is true you are far more than your father and I hoped. Mom, I'm still not comfortable with this power I have, Simmer told her. I understand, but you must also realize we can never allow someone like my cousin to rise again. It was a godsend we were able to stop him, and now we have you to be able to deal with future problems. I didn't ask for this, Simmer grunted. Simmy, we know you didn't, but we rarely ask for what's thrust onto us, Sunset reminded her. And I promise you, I will be there when you need me. Simmer gave her Quinn a quick arm squeeze of gratitude. Thanks, Heath. Well, Sora said with a smile, nosing the closest of the two girls. Looks like you two got along fabulously while there was at the town. To be honest, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. It was nice having a sister, Simmer said, favoring Sunset with a smile. If you don't really be cut us apart, I don't think that would make a difference. It won't, Sunset promised. Solaris' phone chimed as she looked at it. Well, that is all well and good, but now I'm afraid we must get down to business. The lawyers the family hired is here, and I'm velvet with the kids. Good thing we brought one of our own. Kids gave her future in-laws a grin. Good thing the state bar's mandated pro bono requirement that I could fill for you two. This would be racking up the bills otherwise. It was hours later, and the group was all located at the Four Seasons Hotel, courtesy of Solaris' brother-in-law. Given that the family had owned the vaulted hotel, it made for the best place to hold both the talks and the press conference afterwards. Given that the media frenzy had reached bizarre heights as the truth of Sunset's existence had come out to the public arena. The fact that a girl who had been a runaway turned out to be a secret French princess was the top of the hour news item on every local news source, quite a few national ones as well. A couple of seconds later, there was a knock on the door. But before anyone could get it, a thin man in an expensive tailor suit with slick black gray hair and red eyes behind equally expressive Italian eyeglasses walked in, carrying a briefcase. Sitting on the table, he said, Hello all, my name is Content Ocart, and I have been hired by the House of Butterbot to represent their interest in this matter. Thank you, Mr. Ocart. Solar began, quickly cut off by the lair. Mrs. De Celestia, he began in a curt tone, speaking with content. It was made very clear to me that you are not to be a party to this. Quite frankly, if I may, I have spoken with several family members, and they find the second Sunset Simmer to be a certain, regardless of what the DNA record says. Therefore, your father felt it was best for you, immediate branch of the family, to step aside in this regard. As a result, things will be decided by the Florentine branch of your family. And quite frankly, they decided they do not want some unknown ragamuffin mongrel within the family. What? Simmer Solaris said at once. Who's the Florentines? Sunset asked. That bastard, the Van Rice family, Solaris hissed. Clearly, this is meant to punish me, because I've chosen to take Sophia instead of that monster. Even in death, she commented, he vexes me. Sunset looked at Solaire and gave herself a private smile. Her biological mother was clearly a talented actress, given that she knew the truth about Devine's whereabouts, as well as the story that he himself had put out about his death. Even though he wasn't truly related to her, the Elkhorn felt surged pride at the princess's particular skills. Whatever that may be, Mrs. Celestia, the fact is, the Florentines have been given the authority to speak for their house, and as such have been directed to tell you that the American girl calling herself Sunset Simmer does not have legal standing within the house and will not be recognized by the family. He gave a grin. Frankly, given her unusual circumstances, she doesn't even have a birth certificate because of her situation. She's not even legally a person. Keyes looked at her feet. Counselor, you're out of line, she warned him. And you're out of your depth, Miss Cadenza. This is how these thugs play in the world of law outside the college justice system. Now shut up. Lock your pro bono time, it had to be that. I've got a mind to report you to the bar, Mr. Court. Your attitude is reprehensible. And I've got a mind to consider what you look like after that clothing. It's late tonight. I don't have to catch a flight back to Cloudsdale at least another day, he commented dryly. I'm filing your report, Counselor. You can be sure of that. Yeah, what about that your own? Besides, by the way, meet me at the bar after all this, and I'll tell you what room I'm in. He turned to the rest of them. Sorry, folks, but this is how the ball's played. I'm not going to the world of actual law. True! C'est true! Everyone turned to Simmer, who was glaring at Colt with eyes raised. How dare you! Kid, you're under your death. I am no child. Simmer rose from her seat, despite the fact that the man was taller than her, looked at him right in the eyes. I am her Imperial Highness Sunset Simmer as the Sultan's branch as the house upon the pot, and I will not be taught down to. She went to her tail and continued to declare, Faut être que son que c'est, ça fait fou, et que vous parlez. I don't understand here. Listen to your child. He sneered before closing his briefcase. They're done. You take one step to this room, and I will inform the family that you wanted the negotiations early. My grandfather may have given permission to the Florentines to deal with this, Fernley said. But he still decides whether you get to be for doing your job or not. She set herself on the table, revealing she'd be recording the whole thing, and I am most certainly not done. For all my life, I had to live with the fact that my sister was gone. It was agreed that I was the one that had survived. Then this year I discovered a girl, just like me, who was living the life I had when I lived here. My mother knew who she was right away, and I didn't believe it. How could I? My sister was dead, but my mother, the girl said, pointing to Soleil, knew. She knew in a heart that I couldn't wrap my mind around, is that my sister was most certainly alive and here with us. I spent the past 2 weeks getting to know her, and I am convinced, not because of a DNA test or genetics or anything like that, she could be an alien sister in human form. Sarah said in a flat comment, and wouldn't make a single bit of difference. I know my sister, and she is not to blame for what happened to her long ago. She is a princess of the Imperial family just as I am. How dare you suggest otherwise? I am Sunset Simmer, but I know now I am Sunset Simmer to Sim. She is Sunset Premier, and I suspect the tie my mother Barry is also my genetic identical. Sarah turned to Sunset. Sister, I suspect the reason you suffered, or we all suffered, is because we wanted to be twins, which repeats. Funny you should say that. Everyone turned to see Saphir standing by the door, wide grin on his face. I called in a few favors I had with the FBI, and checked in myself. Turns out you're right, Jimmy. That would make the child buried in the grave, Sunset Simmer 3. He shrugged. I don't know, I don't speak French. Simmer wheeled back to a court. Regardless, Sunset Simmer, my sister, and also the Imperial Princess of France, and none of us will stand for these insults. If I must, I will speak your language, you care. I am younger than you, and richer than you, and I will raise those asses to bear against you. Seeing the smug look on his face, she then added, I am not talking about the wealth of the House of Bonaparte. Right now, we stand in a hotel owned by my uncle, my paternal uncle. Since I have that inheritance to draw back on as well. I have more money than you can imagine, Mr. O'Court, and I will weaponize it. For my sister, I will do anything to protect her. Now sit down, shut up, and let my mother have her say, or else I will make sure nothing goes right for you anywhere in the Anglo-Franco spears. Am I clear? The room went to Simmer, who technically sat down, befitting a princess. I believe you heard my daughter, Soleil said, a wide, proud smile on her face. Would you care to let us see the documents the Florentines provided? We're gonna miss you, you know that? Soleil told Raspberry. Raspberry laughed. Sonny, this works. The portal will be open whenever. You guys can come visit me whenever you get the chance. Yeah, Arya agreed. But I'm sure you'll agree having your friends live close by kinda helps. The three were in their lair, looking around while Raspberry continued to work on the candle. For her own safety's sake, Octavia remained upstairs. Nastasia was already doing extra chores around the house as part of her punishment, leaving the trio to their own devices. Well, given their domestic vagaries and whatnot, I guess you say I live literally next door, Raspberry pointed out. Plus, you have to admit, if it wasn't for you two, I would probably be miserable here. Sanaa frowned. Raz, forget Nazi, okay? You mean a lot to us. I already did. You two are my friends, and I appreciate everything you've done for me here. Not least as once is the brace I'm wearing, Raspberry said, patting the object bound around her leg. But it's more than that. You two made me feel welcome here. Not that the others didn't mind. And so he's done everything she could. It's just... You don't have to say it, Ras. We get the picture. Arya said with a grin. The flame's candle started to get stronger, and Raspberry hopped to her feet. Ari, Set the security doors or something. Sonny, can you get the fire extinguisher? On it! Both girls said at once. Raspberry started casting a demon spell. So she hated to admit it. That was going to be another thing she was going to miss about living in the human realm. Having human magic of its ulterior nature was far better than her polarized nature of pony magic. Here, she could almost pretend she was a white mage archmagus, just like Sunset. Here, she didn't have to worry about being shunned by the general population. Here, she didn't have to worry about losing her temper, also meant losing her guise if she was pushed hard enough. Plus, when the girls saw it, Rainbow had called her a badass vampiress. Quick look up so that vampires were the equivalent of vampires. And had to admit, during everything, I guess she did kind of look like a badass vampiress. Maybe if I wasn't going home, she mused to herself, living here wouldn't be so bad after all. The wick turned green and spat out a large guttering flame. Even still, it was much smaller than the previous days. A sign things were on the mend. The flames coalesced into burning smoke, and when it transformed itself into a simple scroll, Dear stained and bound by a white ribbon. Dearest Raz, please come home. We miss you, Mom and Dad. Raspberry's eyes started to tear up, and shame welled within her. How could she think about staying here when she had a family back home that loved her? She didn't have the unique situation Sunset did, probably never would. She belonged in Equestria. She took the candle and grabbed a pen. I'm coming home was all she wrote. Then set the letter ablaze in mage fire. The flame wax did its job. They got it out and returned to an orange hue once more, becoming a normal candle again. Raspberry could feel arms around her in an embrace. Then a head rested atop of hers. You okay? Arya asked her. No, not till I get home again, Raspberry said softly. Not till I get home again. As the court stormed out of the room, Keyes looked at Simmer with appreciation. You know, and maybe you should consider becoming a lawyer, Simmy, she said. You sure can argue a case. Are you sure this is what you want, mon petit trésor? Soleil asked her daughter as she looked over the new documents. Simmer nodded. Even if I didn't, this is what has to happen to protect Sunny, the younger flame-haired girl replied. Besides, it got him angry, and as Uncle Noblesse says, when you argue in a rage, you don't think about what you're doing. Sunset looked at her counterpart, gaining a new respect for her. Sunset had been trained in diplomacy and negotiation by a princess, but never really gave it much use in her life. Simmer, however, knew exactly how to use those skills, and did so to the fullest potential. So much so it made Sunset herself reevaluate her position on that. She went to the copy of the document with her own hands. With this, she was officially an Imperial Princess of France, and technically a French citizen. Moreover, with the other documents had been signed by Solaire and Sunset's own parents, the king's witnessing, and a court signing as an approver on behalf of the House of Bonaparte. Shimmy, you shouldn't have, Sunset said stunned. Mom, do we have to be present for the press conference? Simmer asked Solaire. No. In fact, I think I would rather do these myself, assuming if you would be assistants. Knight, the public knows both of us, so it'd be sufficient if you agree. I do. I think I'd rather shield the girls from all this. Good, Simmer said. Sonny, can you teleport us to the nearest flower shop? I have something to do. Sure, but... Mom, we'll catch you later at Uncle Lotto's Pikes yet, okay? She turned over and kissed her mother on the cheek. Come on, Sonny, time's the racing. As the two girls fast, Keyes laughed. Gonna be hard to get used to that. Yes, I suppose, Solaire replied. Never thought my daughter has anything necessary special. After today, that's magnified 100-fold. You raised a wonderful young woman, Solaire. I raised a princess, Keyes replied, and not just a name. In a well-furnished hotel half a world away, two old men looked at one another. Both seemed to be what they are not. The first old man seemed to be a frail, elderly English gentleman, blinded by an accident ages ago. The second appeared to be a fit Japanese businessman of advanced years, dapper yet formal. Around him stood retainers and serpents. As he set down his chopsticks, the Sphinx smiled. My compliments to your chef, Shokuden Dono. Perhaps I may just borrow his services for a banquet I intend to hold next month. Taking a sip from a sake cup, the older man nodded and replied in a gravelly voice. Please, dear friend, speak only the time and location, and it will be delivered to you
for your needs. My employees are at your disposal, and it's a sumo Latin corporation aims to please.
Indeed you have, my dear friend, the older man said, and now that our wonderful dinner is over, I'm afraid I must mar this pleasant meeting by talking not of pleasure, but of business.
Of course,
Sokadir replied.
I saw my underlings discuss the joint financial projects, starting from the European concerns, if that is what you wish.
The man gestured to his left. A second man in his mid-40s bowed, approaching him with packets of documents.
Perhaps later, the speaker replied. For now, I wish to speak of the Baraka project. Sheikh Baraka!
Sokadir nodded, then raised his hand to bid the first man to stop.
I see.
He then waved his hand again, and an elegantly dressed young woman approached him, bent over. Sokadir whispered something in her ear as he nodded, then departed.
The rest of you, please, see to your concerns,
he told his aide.
My friend and I wish to discover private business.
The Sphinx nodded and moved his head ever so slightly. At the slight movement, all the personnel that had been behind it turned and slightly departed, save for a young woman dressed in business attire.
Pomnono, would you care for a seat? It wouldn't do to have such a
beautiful young lady stand.
Agaripan safely nodded.
How does the old saying go, Shokutin Dono? One must be careful of seeing titles from both friends and enemies. An old saying of Oda Nobunaga, if I recall.
From behind Shokuden, a young man the same age as Arkia, with a scowl on his face, glared at her with blood-red eyes.
Those were actually the words of Akichi Mishuje.
I see. Thank you for the correction.
Shokuden laughed.
Your delightful of yours. How I wish I could be so unconcerned with the future. Perhaps, the Sphinx said, but it's always best to be cautious of what is to come. I come to you bearing information on your treasure. I also come bearing a warning.
Shokuden raised an eyebrow.
It is not often that your great grandmaster of Olden Jurkiam comes bearing warnings. It's not often that the Uyabon and the Satomo Ryuko Kai require such, the Sphinx replied. Yet my spies received word that your treasure has been moved once again. That is information we already have, Soken replied. She is also attempting to contact a being called the Chikyu no Megami. Are you familiar with such?
Shokuden laughed.
A fairy tale, nothing more. A kami that all spirits and mages answer to. If such a creature actually existed, she would be in my grasp by now. I see. I'll be prudent to warn you. Your quarry and her guardian are expending considerable resources to find this being. Whether it's a waste of time or not, one must let one's friends be aware. Yes, and I thank you for your information.
The two old men continued to sit there, as ancient magic swirled around them. High above the skyline of Tokyo, in a great skyscraper, the Grand City below had no idea of the meeting that had just occurred. Nor they did, would they have any power to stop it. After the meeting ended, Araka followed her father to his limousine.
So, do you have no idea?
She said to him.
Oh, he knows, Sphinx said wryly. He would not be Shokoden Shinosa and the oil bond of Svea and Yakuza gangs, were he not?
The Sphinx waited until they were in the limo, protected from prying ears by technology and magic, but before clearing his mind.
I think it would benefit us later down the road if we allowed his treasure to contact the so-called Chikyu no Megami.
With a smile he added,
It would be easy to wipe two bonds off the chessboard instead of one, don't you think?
Watching the limousine depart, the young man snarled in his native Japanese.
Grandfather, how could you let those gaijin go? They knew something we had no information to. You mean you had no information, Shujin? I had been quite aware of the existence of the Chikyu no Megami for some time. I thought you said it was a fairy tale. I did, but all the legends gain the truth of them. And as you well know, the smallest grain can sometimes be a battlefield if given time.
He turned to Clara, his young son.
Find our treasure and bring her under our field before she contacts the Chikyu no Megami.
The goddess of Earth? Oh. Shimmer set 2 sets of roses on the gravestone. Hey, I'm back. Standing a polite distance away, Sunset watches Shimmer spend some final time with her father and unborn sister. Her actual unborn sister. The girl who had never received any upper appellation then, child of the summer breeze of Solar de la Celestia. In the days to come, the small gravestone would be replaced with an actual name. Sunset Shimmer III. Her Royal Highness House Bonaparte. And each Sunset wondered what was her own true birth family. Their own fate had been horrific as raspberries, or had been ideal or whatever. While Shimmer stepped away from the graves and wiped her eyes. It's done. I have done as much peace as I can. Have you? Shimmer nodded. I did. I told my father what I did, and I hope he would be proud of me. Mom is going to be okay with it. And I suspect it's my uncle and grandfather as well. I know those bastards is the Florentines lot, but that's my choice. Shimmy, you just gave me half your entire fortune. No, Shimmer said with a smile. I gave my sister what she rightfully deserves as her inheritance. If my sister had lived, it would have been split 3 ways. And since we didn't know you were alive, I inherited it all. And just stop, please. Sunset looked at her Karen apart. I get you're wealthy, even though you told me you lived in a middle-class home in suburban Paris. My choice. Mom and I want to live normal lives. Shimmy, that's your money, not mine. And in case you forgot, I'm the daughter of a princess outright to begin with. If I had to guess, the GDP of Equestria alone probably twice that area for entirety. We're literally swimming in gems, and we feed top-quality jewels to dragons and other creatures. Our mid-grade is your top quality, and it's just money. Shimmer says he walked over to a branch in the cemetery. Just as the sun began to sink behind the horizon, as if giving a notification to its namesakes. I'd rather my sister get her fair share, but not really. Yeah. Shimmer patted the seat next to her, asking Sunset to sit down. I've known a lot for Twilight these past 2 weeks. She doesn't care you were born who you are. To her, you are her sister. You told me that you are my sister. I never had one before. Now I've had one for 2 weeks, and I share so much with her. She raised her palm, calling magic to her hand. If it wasn't for you, I would be dead or worse, Sonny. Giving up half my inheritance to prove your existence to zero to me is worth it. But Sarah placed a gentle finger on Sunset's lips. No buts. I once told Twilight you was the best Sunset you could be, and I needed to be the best Sunset I could be. I'm doing that now, so that both of us can live our lives of dead. Besides, it's not that my true birth sister was going to put it to any use, you know. I'm honestly touched, Jimmy. You gave up more than just money, though. Oui, but I never wanted to be involved in my family's politics anyway. That's not my calling. And I don't mind giving up my fault within family politics, if it means you get official family recognition. Besides, the Florentines and the other family factions never really considered me a true Bonaparte, given that I'm half American. Sunset gave a wistful smile. I don't know what to say, she admitted. Well, my mother told me the best thing to say is thank you, the other girl said slightly. Unfortunately, you got kidnapped, so you didn't learn that little nugget of wisdom from my mother. So I guess you could be given that. She leaned against Sunset, and the 2 watched the sunset continue to fall. You promise me you'll always be there for me, Sonny? As much as I can. Unfortunately, I do have a life of my own as well, and sometimes I'm not going to be able to break away. I can still have to do. In the time, I learned to teleport, and then I can come visit you. You have to practice hard, Sunset insisted. Teleportation is a pretty advanced skill. I'm sure I can master it. I do have the best teacher around, Sarah said with a smile. It was days. Days of sheer torture since they sent that letter. Days of wondering what had become of it. Will it be the fate of a simple missive plea from a mother to her filly to come home? And now that letter, the wait was over. Casimir held the letter in her shaking hands, tears of joy staining the letter she had sent days ago, with a simple message scrawled back on it. I'm coming home. Ras. I feel he's coming home, Casimir thought. Hermione swimming with relief and joy. She's coming home. Watching from a distance, Celestia felt a mixture of emotions at that moment. Joy, because one of her missing ponies would be able to safely contact home. Jealousy, because Raspberry's mother had received a letter from her daughter, when she herself had not. Shame, because she knew she shouldn't feel as she did, especially as the ruler of the nation. I'm sure Sunset would have written you if she could, Luna whispered gently into her sister's ear. Maybe there was no time, or she wasn't around, and Raspberry wanted to make sure we got the message. Given it's been days, and Twilight and I suspect there's some dying ace involved. I know, Celestia said softly. I just miss my sweet feeling. She hasn't forgotten you, Luna assured her. She loves you. No, she's probably been adopted by that human mare by now, Celestia said sadly, which means I've lost her forever. No, I can assure you of that, sister. Mothers aren't forgiven so easily. Just because Sunset will end up more than one mother doesn't mean she's forgotten you. That other velvet would be taking care of her, but you raised her. The love is there. It'll always be there. Despite the prodigal situation, Luna reached up and caressed her sister's heartbroken face. She hasn't forgotten. She never could. Oswald's face had a look of sarcasm on it. All this time she's been in the area, he said to Solera apologetically. All this time, we could have looked if we'd known. We would have looked if we'd known. His wife was inconsolable. We should have known. She sobbed, her face burying her hands. We should have known. It's okay, Solera said, hugging her sister-in-law, feeling guilty about it. Even her extended family would have been kept out of the truth in order to let Sunset live safely. Was this what Sunset had to go through every day of her life here on Earth? Solera didn't care for her one bit, even though she would continue to live that lie. But now for Sunset's sake and her promise to her grandmother, her own daughter as well. There was no need to know. So long as she's healthy and safe, everything is okay. Are you sure about this, Soleil? Autumn asked her protectively, and knew what she meant. Yes. To take Sunset away from her family would be as necessary as the woman who stole her from me. Besides, they love her, and I will not do that to another family. Well, if that's what you want, Autumn said, it still doesn't mean that I won't involve myself if you need me to. You send me to adopted parents. They are wonderful people. I don't feel as though I was failing my sire the second time, I assure you. So I gestured to where Velvet and Knight awaited a respective distance. Meanwhile, there was someone in the extended family who was not awaiting a respective distance. Giggling and giddy, Coco hugged Sunset without abandon, as happy as a clam while Shimmer, Twilight, and Octavia and the triplets watched without trying to laugh. Yay! I have another cousin that's a girl! Coco cooed contentedly. Sunset looked at Shimmer as swirly as her twin replied. Look at it this way. You now have a cousin that's actually a cousin. Yeah, I think Sunny's met her quota of sisters for the rest of her life, Adazio said with a grin. And best of all, we all go to Zachary together! Cuckoo crowd. Actually, I go to Caroline High, Sunset explained. Kinda prefer that, to be honest. Aww. Twice stepped in and rescued her sister from the perpetual embrace. Coco, you still have us, okay? Just because Sunny goes to a different school doesn't mean the rest of us aren't there. Trust me, I know Sunny would want us to take care of her darling little cousin just as much as she would. Coco blushed at the compliment, and Dazio whispered to Octavia. Looks like Sunny's have a smooth-talking job. The raven-haired girl giggled at that. Okay, Coco said, letting go of Sunset, immediately coming out to Twilight. You know, she kind of reminds me of that toy that was out when we were kids. Constant hugging thing or whatnot, Arya mused. You had to pull the batteries out when you wanted to stop hugging, Octavia added. Yeah, that's the one. Salty got us some on our birthdays, and I think we had until she died. Then Sunny took them apart to see how the motors worked. Good times. Sonali chanted, well, by then we ran out of toys, so... Coco looked sadly at Sunset. Were you mistreated by your captor? Sunset looked at Coco's innocent lie and knew she couldn't lie. A year ago, she could have, and likely would have without issue. But given Sunset, that wasn't Sunset anymore, she'd grown quite a bit, and this was better for worse for family. Fortunately for her, Twilight stepped in. Coco, given she's been around family, I don't think it's a good idea to ask, she suggested.
Might be fine now, but what happened to her is still an ordeal she has to go through. Remember that she thought her captor was her family for the longest time, so it's not fair to ask her a question like that. It would be like me asking you how things are going with Crackle's sister. Oh, Coco looked at Octavia and Twilight. Crackle, she became sorry because they're sisters, but Crackle doesn't know she can trust her. It hurts to see me like that, but I don't know what to do. Don't be patient, Coco. I'm sure that things will improve. Maybe she will change, maybe she won't. Octavia told her. That's not for you to do. That's for Crackle and his sister to work out. Just be there for her. You and her friends. You are all friends with the CMC, right? Yeah, my parents are letting me turn to Girl Scouts. I get passes right along to girls. Something tells me we should be worried about that. In other parts of the town, Applejack, Rarity, and Rainbow all stirred at once. Feelings that someone stepped on their grave, to use as a term. Finally, Sunset and the others went home. Velvet hugged Sunset close to her. So, are you ready for tomorrow, sweet? Sunset looked at her and nodded. A dream come true, she had to admit.
For all of us, Night told her. But remember what Velvet said. Just because we're making it official tomorrow, doesn't mean that you have to love your birth mother any less. I have a feeling she's going to be in your life still. Especially since you're sending Raspberry home, right?
You sure?
Sunset asked, not wanting to correct him about birth mother phrasing. Princess Celestia was her mother, she knew that, birth or not.
Very, Sonny. Love is, to coin a phrase, a very human thing. Phyllis said, and you shouldn't let your love for her be forgotten. Someday I want to meet her and thank her for the special gifts she gave us. You.
Sunset blood. Mom, you're making me blush.
Of course, dear. That's what moms do. Well, at least he gets to sleep. Need to get up early tomorrow for the most important day of our lives, Sonata said.
Not really, Twilight said. She looked at everyone around her. She smiled and said, all it's doing is just putting on paper what we already know. She kissed Sunset on the cheek.
My sister.
Our sister, the other girl said at once.
Sunset buzzed brightly, thinking about how absolutely lucky she was, how much her world had changed. Tomorrow would make for one of the most important moments in her life. Couldn't stop thinking about it. And since he had been adopted multiple times by Celestia, her new parents, and kind of sort of by Sarah's family. For a village that had been founded in orphans with no name or lineage to speak of, she had been blessed 100-fold for it. Guess I am the luckiest girl in the world, she thought to herself with a smile. But a fleeting thought came to her, if only for a moment. Whatever happened to her actual birth mother? Did she ever think of Sunset? Did it matter? To Sunset, not really. Somewhere in Equestria, there might have been a mayor who always wondered what happened to the fillies he gave away. Here you go, a siren-sung voice said, setting a mug on the split-wood counter. Finest in that house. The stallion, a gruff earth pony, gave her a salute and grinned.
Yeah, thanks.
He downed it quickly. Well, someone's just needing to breathe.
Ugh, that's it, the spot.
He reached in his side pack and pulled out a couple of bits, which he slapped on the orange countertop.
Give me another, will you?
The bartender laughed. You keep hitting the cider oil. Yes, this is not going to be happy about that.
Well, not once like this dude out here in Flat Plains, right?
He shrugged. The bartender picked up a mug and started polishing. Yeah, spun us to the town in the Badlands. She laughed. I went to Ponyfield last year on business. For a small town. The place was huge, like I was in Manhattan.
You been in Manhattan before, sir?
Singer's whistle. Yeah, once. He's about to ask her another question when a scroll popped up in front of him. He opened it and sighed.
I'll do he calls. Gotta get back to the cactus farm. Don't worry about it, Rake. You can keep the change. I'll catch you later.
Yeah, later, Royal, she said as she rushed out. Since he took the mug and threw it into the sink. There's always a patron at the Flat Plains Saloon who served the finest drinks in the Badlands. She smiled. This was her life, and her all. And though she missed her husband greatly, at least he loved her enough to keep this old place going so they could live a comfortable life. She laughed to herself. Decades ago, this wouldn't have been a comfortable life to her. No, as a rising star, a Carolot girl that desperately wanted to live the high life and be a noble there, she threw herself with just about every stallion, and quite a few mares, to see if she would end up with a ring on her horn. That's the pity it cost her when she slipped with the wrong stallion.
especially when his wife found out about it. It ruined her life, and to have another. And after all was said and done, she ended up in Flat Plains, wondering how she destroyed her life. After all, she wasn't meant to be here in the middle of this little forsaken excuse of a town. No pony in her right mind would. It turned out to be Celestia then. Desperate for bits and not willing to become a mare of the night, she applied for the only job available. Said job was working for Stemmed Glass, the owner of the Flat Plains Saloon, and a pony well older than she was. First he was gruff and rude to her. How dare he, the old bucker. But as time went on, she began to realize it was her that needed the attitude adjustment. And over time she did. And in time she fell in love and she married him. But alas, it wasn't meant to last. A stray timber wolf being where it wasn't supposed to be, left her widowed and with full. Though she had enough to run the park comfortably. Didn't mean a thing without a loving stem. Still, she had something to look forward to every day. And right now, said thing was to look forward to was rushing into the saloon. Mama! Mama! An air pony filly with green and yellow coat, silver and purple hair rushed towards her, glasses barely standing on her head. Did you hear the news? No, Dream Pop. Star told her daughter. What's the news? Princess Celestia, she's fine. She's okay now. Really? Miss Rewell, the town schoolmarm, was also the publisher of the Flat Plains Protocol, a weekly newspaper. She got flashback stories for the basic papers like Equestria Daily. So it turned the reasons she should know. Dream Pop said, adjusting her glasses. More, and saying the princess's daughter, Baroness Sunset Simmer, is an Alcornell. She's so pretty. Rising Star's eyes widened. Too shocked to appreciate the adorable mispronunciation of the word. What? Miss Rewell cut me up the paper. Team John shared as he pulled for a cell back. Let's see. Sir levitated it up. The picture, of course, was a drawn representation of the photo instead of a photo. Well, it was a color one. Seeing it, the mare's heart practically let down her body. There, standing regal and noble, was Sunset Simmer. Do I even have to say it? You folks can see this coming! It's like there's a freaking giant neon sign right over here! Like someone's broadcasting it! You couldn't be more obvious if you gave Ultraman a giant neon sign and he stood on top of a Godzilla right in the middle of a train wreck! It's her mother! The daughter, Rising Star, had abandoned decades ago. Too selfless to try to raise herself. Wow, what a shocker. Over the years, she followed Sunset's escapades as part of her personal penance for abandoning her fall. And it hurt to see her daughter become the adopted daughter of Princess Celestia herself. It hurt even more when the news came that Sunset had turned against her mother, rebelled and vanished. By now the papers said it was a cover story. Sunset had been a special message for Princess Celestia to a strange land. That she had become an archmagus, succeeding Princess Twilight in position. Now, she was an alicorn, a beyond impressive accolade for a full Star had left, having someone's name on the doorstep so long ago. My sweet Fitty, you never know it, Star thought as she looked at the streets while shining eyes of her own. I am so proud of you. A tear rolled down Star's cheek. Mama, you okay? Better than ever, my sweet, Star said, vowing someday to tell Dream Pop about her famous sister. Better than ever.